The movie begins by showing us in the bustling, gritty streets of Hong Kong's slums, where feverish preparations are in full swing for an electrifying mixed martial arts tournament known as kumite. Workers have even assembled a massive, steaming cauldron to guarantee an abundant feast for all the warriors. This high-stakes competition is veiled in mystery, with only the most elite fighters from across the world securing exclusive invitations. From every corner of the globe, top-tier combatants representing distinct martial art styles are rigorously training for kumite. Among them, a floundering obstacle course runner struggles to vault over a barricade, a seasoned bartender masterfully shatters ice for cocktails, and amusingly, a diligent worker from America's Bounty Chocolate Bar Factory. Elsewhere, a hulking heavyweight boxer hones his relentless brawling skills when a confidant approaches, mentioning whispers of his impending journey to the clandestine kumite tournament. The friend ominously cautions him. Rumors are swirling that warriors have perished in the unforgiving kumite fight. Meanwhile, somewhere in a Naval Corps training center, Captain Frank Dukes trains kicking on a speed bag. A fellow serviceman informs him that the commander wants to speak to him before Frank goes on leave, as he opposes Frank's plan to go to Hong Kong. Frank requests a moment to take a shower, and realizing that this might jeopardize his trip, takes this opportunity to flee. The Marine immediately reports Frank's departure to the colonel, who orders his two best men to go after Frank. After some time, Frank arrives at his master's residence in California. The master's wife warmly welcomes him. However, since her husband is seriously ill, she needs some time to inform him about the guest. Lost in thought, Frank drifts into memories of his past. He recalls how, as a teenager, he was persuaded by his friends to sneak into Mr. Tanaka's house. Their goal was to steal a katana, but when they heard the door creak open, panic set in. They dropped the sword and fled, leaving Frank behind. Slow to react, he stood frozen before attempting to return the weapon to its place. Just then, Tanaka and his son burst into the room, and the boy struck Frank in the stomach. Tanaka then stated that the katana could not be stolen. It had to be earned. Frank insisted that he never intended to steal it. With one precise and skillful swing of the katana, Tanaka effortlessly slices off the peak of Frank's cap. Frank stands frozen in shock, unaware of what just happened, and his stunned reaction only intrigues Tanaka even more. Master Sensei Tanaka visits Frank's parents and delivers an inspiring speech about how boys need discipline and strength, which martial arts can instill. He then requests the opportunity to train Frank. Impressed by the master's words, Frank's parents agree to the proposal. However, in reality, the shrewd Japanese master had another motive. He needed Frank merely as a punching bag to aid in training his own son.
How come you coach him but not me?
I brought you here to help me train my son. Don't question me.
If you expect me to be his punching bag, you can forget about our deal.
One day, Tanaka's son gets beaten up at school, and Frank steps in, taking down the bullies. Grateful, the boy tells Frank,
"Someday, I'll fight in the kumite and make my father proud."
but tragically, the boy's dreams were buried with him, snuffed out by the sudden end of his life. Devastated by the loss of his son, Tanaka loses the will to continue the training. In his sorrow, Frank asks the master to train him.
Teach me. I can do it.
You are not Japanese. You are not a Tanaka.
The master reveals that before moving to America, he had a wife, son, and daughter in Japan who perished in Hiroshima during the war. Seeking a new start, he dedicated himself to passing down the Tanaka family's 2,000-year-old mastery. Frank promises him to honor this legacy by winning the kumite fight. Tanaka begins Frank's training, revealing that Frank struggles with distinguishing right from left. His training includes catching fish barehanded, meditation, and fighting blindfolded. Over time, Frank masters blind combat, even blocking sudden attacks while performing daily tasks. In the final stage of his training, he breaks Tanaka's training device during a stretch. As a reward for his dedication, the master presents him with a katana, earned through hard work. With this, Frank's reflection ends, and he enters Tanaka's room, declaring his journey to Hong Kong for the kumite to honor his teacher. Tanaka assures him that his spirit will fight alongside him. In Hong Kong, Frank encounters a towering fighter who has also arrived for the kumite. Nearby, a bearded man attempts to introduce himself to a woman, but when met with indifference, he tries to attract her by displaying his refinement.
Handsome for you, huh, honey?
At the hotel, where kumite fighters gather, a journalist presses the lodgers for information about the secret tournament. But no one is willing to reveal the secrets of the underground fights.
You two are here for the kumite, aren't you?
Kumite? What is kumite?
Look, guys, I know there's a secret full-contact event being held in Hong Kong in the next few days.
At the same hotel, the bearded man challenges Frank to an intense arcade fighting game, only to be effortlessly defeated. Meanwhile, the Hulk, feeling embarrassed by his loss, boasts to a random acquaintance about the ultra-secret competition, aiming to impress by highlighting his upcoming fights.
You like this kind of fighting, huh?
Yeah,
You want to see some real fighting, you can see me fight at the kumite.
I'm here too for the kumite.
Name's Ray Jackson.
I'm Frank Dukes.
Meanwhile, Two DI officers visit Tanaka's house. The woman mentions that Frank came by a few days ago to see his teacher, but she has no further information.
Do you know if he was going to Hong Kong?
I don't know.
Of course you know. Look, we're not trying to...
Mrs. Tanaka, we're very sorry to have disturbed you. Thank you very much for your time.
At the hotel, Frank and Jackson are greeted by their coordinator.
Frank Dux.
No. It's Dukes.
Gotcha. Like put up your dukes, right?
He tells them that this year's kumite is unlike any before, with fighters from every corner of the globe. He also warns them against brawling outside the competition, as it could lead to expulsion. The coordinator then leads them to the building where the competition will take place, revealing that the actual event is in mainland China, not Hong Kong.
Once you step out of the sunlight into the narrow corridors, it's time to protect your nuts, guys.
During registration for the kumite, Frank presents his invitation, stating that he represents the Tanaka clan. However, due to his foreign appearance, they doubt his affiliation with the clan.
You don't look like Tanaka.
Shidoshi Tanaka trained me.
What's the difference if Bruce Springsteen is a Shidoshi?
The organizer also questioned whether Frank could have trained under Master Tanaka and asked him to prove it with his skills.
Big. Choose a brick.
Okay, Frank. What about this one?
Go! Bottom one.
His task is to break the bottom brick from a stack. Frank effortlessly shatters the brick, leaving all those watching in astonishment.
Son of the bitch. Is that good enough, guys?
And then, Chong Li delivers the ironic line.
Very good, but brick not hit back.
Upon reaching Hong Kong, the officers approach the police and ask the inspector to help locate the runaway.
We're here because Frank is going to fight in the kumite, and we're here to stop him.
The kumite?
Upon discovering Frank's intention to participate in the clandestine kumite tournament, renowned across Hong Kong and beyond, the inspector hesitates to take action against a military figure who remains within the bounds of the law. A man of Arab descent with an Asian look pressures the reporter, persistently inviting her to his room and offering an interview about Cum and beyond.
You want to say no?
No, Hussein is an asshole.
Tends to slap the girl for her audacity, but Frank interrupts the villain.
He's the American shithead who makes tricks with brick.
He then warns against fighting, as it could result in their removal from kumite. Frank proposes settling the matter with a contest that the victor takes the girl to his room.
You hold this. If I can grab it before you close your hand, I get the girl. If I cannot, she's yours.
Very good.
What? You can't do this.
Just relax.
He remembers catching a fish from a mountain with his bare hands, and not only succeeds in retrieving the coin, but also manages to exchange it for another.
Looks like she's mine.
He takes the girl along, and she explains that she's aiming to write an article about the hidden kumite tournament, which is why she attempted to join the Arab. Frank invites her to dinner the next evening. While Frank trains, Jackson bursts into his room, hops onto the bed with muddy shoes.
You know, you better stop doing that stuff. You might want to have kids one of these days.
Frank calmly finishes the exercise and leaves out. The first day of the competition arrives. The organizers proclaim that the tournament organized once every 5 years will run for 3 days.
There are 3 ways to win. 1, you knock the guy out. 2, your opponent quits and shouts Mate. It's like saying uncle. 3, you pull the fucker right off the runway.
As viewers place their bets, fighters of different styles enter the arena. One participant receives a hit to the face, spitting out some blood. The Hulk begins to feel tense.
That's why they call this thing Bloodsport, kid.
If only he could witness the bare-knuckle fighting championship, where a fighter in shorts claims victory. The 6-foot for Jackson enters the ring to face a lighter opponent, clearly demonstrating why weight categories are important. After taking several hits with his hands down, he snaps in fury and, with a single devastating punch, knocks his opponent to the ground. In typical trash-talking style, he then challenges the Cum champion. Frank asks what this Chinese fighter did to him, to which Jackson responds, "He's Chong Li, the undefeated Cum champion." The organizer goes on to explain that in the last competition, Chong Li killed his opponent with a net kick and took pleasure in watching him die. Chong Li steps into the arena once more, facing a smaller opponent. In just 14 seconds, he locks in a chokehold and then delivers a finishing blow to the back of the man's head while he's already unconscious. The organizers announce a new Cum record, 14.8 seconds. Frank Dukes then steps up to face the Arab from the hotel. The Arab confidently boasts.
Now I'll show you some trick or two.
After slapping his opponent's cheeks, Frank defeats him. As promised, the Arab showcases his trick. But even such a cunning maneuver fails to help him win. Frank Dukes sets a new kumite record, intensifying Chong Li's already menacing glare. Meanwhile, the janitor seizes the knocked-out fighter's gold tooth, seemingly as a trophy. The battles continue, displaying stunning techniques from various martial arts disciplines, including an exotic monkey kung fu style demonstrated by the bounty factory worker. In true Pride Fighting Championship fashion, fighters engage in multiple bouts on the tournament's first day. For unclear reasons, The inspector reverses his decision and informs the DIA officers of Frank Duke's hotel location. The agents rush to the scene, insisting that the captain return to base and forbidding him from competing in the comedy because
The government has invested a lot of time and money in you. Uncle Sam can't afford to let you get hurt.
I won't get hurt.
That's why we're here, to make sure of that.
I'll be in the airport in 2 days. We are taking you back now.
Don't make us use 50,000 volts on you.
Jackson assists him, effortlessly taking down 2 men with precise wrestling technique and buying time for his ally to escape. After an extended pursuit through the lively downtown streets, Frank successfully evades the officers. In the evening, he dines with the journalist, savoring wine despite needing to recuperate for the next day's 3 back-to-back fights. The journalist requests that he take her to the comedy, but he reminds her of the strict confidentiality rules. Undeterred, she playfully suggests simply spending the night together instead. He says goodbye to his girlfriend, agreeing to meet her in the evening at the comedy. Along the way, he runs into Jackson, who attempts to recreate his brick-breaking trick.
Pick a brick. Any brick. I know. Bottom one, right? See? Not a scratch on it.
Locked him.
Neither is this.
For you.
He also finds his journalist there, who somehow managed to infiltrate the tournament by attaching herself to one of the managers. A series of matches begins, thrilling the crowd, except for the journalist, who feels uncomfortable with the violence in the ring. Chong-Li enters the arena and easily defeats his opponent, then, in a sadistic manner, delivers a fatal blow to the already defeated fighter by breaking his leg. The audience goes wild for their champion. Frank continues to progress through the tournament with 5 victories. Finally, he faces a truly charismatic opponent who spends 2 minutes explaining how he will defeat Frank in combat, only to be knocked out in just 3 seconds, flying off the ring and into unconsciousness. The monkey-style fighter, facing the heavyweight wrestler, gets trapped in a devastating hold, and with joy and satisfaction, the heavyweight breaks his spine. It appears Chong-Li has found a rival in this arena. However, Dukes faces him next, and the opponent assists him in stretching a bit before the match begins, then proceeds to execute his spine-breaking move. But Frank manages to break free with head strikes. Afterward, he defeats his opponent and then effortlessly punches him in the groin. Seeing how Frank handled such a formidable fighter, Chong-Li grows visibly tense. The moment has arrived for Jackson's showdown with Chong-Li. Frank offers him some advice before the fight begins.
Go for the gut. He's soft there.
What the hell are you talking about?
Chong-Li's weak in the gut. That's how Paradise surprised him. Hey, you listen to me? Go for the stomach. Stay away from his right leg.
Will you stop worrying, Frankie? I've got it under control. You sound like my mother, man.
In the match, however, the Hulk knocks the champion out in just a few seconds. But he makes a critical error by starting to gloat too soon, giving Lee the opportunity to recover.
Keep going! Keep going!
Chong-Li rises and takes Jackson down, then crushes his head with a kick as a finishing move. After that, he grabs the defeated Hulk's bandana, defying Frank, and visibly savors his victory, pleased with having sent another opponent to the hospital. Frank promises Jackson that he will avenge him and defeat Chong-Li.
Do you think that's what he wants? Someone to share a room with?
Johnny, stay out of this.
Frank, I don't want to see you get hurt.
And don't watch.
This sparks an argument with the journalist, who challenges his ongoing participation in the competition, concerned about his health. With this in mind, she visits the police station and urges the inspector to shut down the comedy due to the utter chaos unfolding there.
Why are you so interested in stopping the kumite?
Someone almost got killed there today. I have a friend fighting in it. I don't want him to get hurt.
Who's your friend?
His name is Frank Duke.
The following day, after his morning workout, Frank heads to the competition, but DIA officers block his way, supported by the inspector and his team. Frank overpowers the officers and seizes their stun guns.
Inspector, no. Gotta take him back.
Then the journalist shows up. She's the one who alerted them about the comedy's whereabouts. Frank tells the officers he'll see them at the airport tomorrow and heads to the tournament.
I'll meet you at the airport tomorrow.
The journalist leads the agents to the hidden comedy competition. Frank knocks out a Thai boxer in the semifinals, impressing his fellow officers and the journalist. On the other hand, Chong-Li faces a smaller opponent and savagely defeats him, snapping the fighter's neck while he's unconscious. To honor the fallen athlete, everyone in the hall rises, and the organizers turn their backs to the ring, seemingly signaling their willingness to overlook such lawlessness. Chong-Li approaches Frank Dukes and delivers his infamous line, saying,
You are next.
while the audience bets on the final match, the fighters prepare for the bout. Chong-Li's corner man puts chalk in his trunks to blind the opponent with his powder. Additionally, the villain ties Jackson's bandana to his knee to provoke him emotionally.
You break my record. Now I break you like I break your friend.
The fight kicks off instantly as Frank lands several powerful kicks to his opponent's head. Chong-Li does his best to act unfazed, but Frank takes control of the fight, knocking the Chong Li down. While Frank shows off, one of the managers offers him some advice, but Frank resolutely refuses, dismissing it as unnecessary. Meanwhile, Chong Li pulls chalk from his trunks, grinds it into powder, and uses it to blind Frank. He then begins pummeling Frank, mocking him as he does. Moments later, Frank gains control of his emotions and recalls how Tanaka taught him to fight with his eyes blindfolded. He concentrates, focusing on feeling his opponent's movements through the air pressure. Using this skill, he blocks Chong Li's attack and, ultimately, defeats his opponent without sight, forcing him to surrender by uttering the name of the Paraguayan technique. He takes Jackson's bandana from Chong Li, and everyone celebrates the victory of the foreign fighter. As a prize, he is gifted a katana. He bids farewell to Jackson in the hospital and heads to the airport, determined not to let anyone see how he truly feels about what just happened. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.